Well, good morning. Welcome to Growing in the City. We're out on Sunday morning, 10 a.m. on the East Coast, New England to be specific. You can tell I parked my car in the Harvard Yard, right, with that accent of mine. We don't know we have it until we talk to other people that actually pronounce their R's. But anyways, guys, let's jump in. If you haven't been here before, well, welcome. Hopefully you become a subscriber and you like the content that I'm going to share. This is about the sacred plant called cannabis. Cannabis sativa L is the scientific name. She found me when I was 12 years old. That's right. My first time getting high was like, dang, I kind of like this. I like how this feels. I'm going to do this some more. And by the time I was 14, I was into it. But the problem was just trying to find it. Finding it was always a challenge because we dealt with cycles. The cycles were, they'd grow it outdoors in other countries. They'd smuggle it in. And guys like George Jung, who were Boston George, had the balls to freaking bring it in, baby. And we'd all wait. So the thing was, is who had it? And you get in that circle, that circle where everybody's smoking a joint with this one joint going around, and when it gets to you, baby, you better take the biggest hit you possibly can until you turn purple. Hold it. That's how bad it was back in the day. And I was in a circle once upon a time. The year was 1987. Jeff, the rock star from Colorado, was going to school in Boston, music, because he wanted to be a rock star when he grew up. And I didn't know the cat, tall kid, about 6'2". All right, if you sharing, I used to say sharing the peace pipe, right? We're sharing the joint, and they're like, you must be all right. And I'm like, and we're smoking the good earth. You know what the good earth is? That's the dirt weed that pressed Mexican, that crappy weed that smelled like ammonia, but we'd smoke it anyways. And I'm sitting there going, oh God, this stuff sucks. I should just grow my own. And Jeff steps up and goes, hey dude, do you have a place? Because I'll call my mother tonight and have her ship me my lights. And I'm like, what? What do you mean you're going to call your mother and have her ship you your lights tonight? He goes, dude, I'm from Colorado. Everybody grows. It's cool. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. Now I thought he was full of shit. Now my beeper goes off. Daddy, what's a beeper? Well, we used to wear it on our hips so we could stay in communication. So if you're in the hustle, you needed a beeper, right? And then you go to a payphone and drop a dime, a good dime, not a bad dime. Some of you guys know what I'm talking about, you older cats. So you drop the dime, you go, hey, what's up, buddy, what do you need, right? And that's where it started off, and he calls me up, and I said, what's up, Jeff? And he goes, I got my lights, are you ready? And I'm like, hold on, I gotta talk to my wife, tell her I'm gonna do something that's illicit, a little bit illegal, but I'm not hurting anybody. And I said, honey, I want to grow some weed up in the attic. And she says, why do you want to do that? And I says, well, I'm spending $40 a week on weed now. And I'm like, and I'm getting a 4-finger ounce if you're lucky. A lot of times it was a 3-finger ounce because you had a friend that knew the guy but he wouldn't introduce you. The reason for that, it's a little delivery fee, and then hand you the bag and go, here you go. And you go, whoa, dude, what's this? It's a little light. He goes, it's pressed, man. You got to break it up. And then we got smart. We got those little finger scales with the little dingly on there. You clip it on the bag and you go, dude, that's 3/4. What happened to the weed? Oh, I don't know. Well, you better complain to your guy, dude. That's when you got to get rid of that guy and find another source. It's always trying to get to the source, right? Well, guess what? Jeff said, yeah, it's cool. I said, yeah, go ahead, go for it. And I never told anybody. My wife knew, Jeff knew, and I knew. That was it. Because I knew if I told my best friend, I couldn't tell him. Because he's got a big fucking mouth. And he's going to tell all his friends. He's going to tell his best friend. And that guy, hey, listen, don't tell anybody about Joe's growing the killer, right? And he's going to tell everybody. And next thing you know, your cover's blown. I stayed in that proverbial closet for a long time. Started in 87, didn't come out of that closet until about 2012 when our state became legal for med. I was like, okay, I'm going to come out and see if I can find some info because I want to find out if I'm doing something wrong, if I can do better, if I can prove. I wanted to learn, and that's where I was. So I'm Joe D, coming to you live here on YouTube, and we're going to talk about what we're working on here at the farm here. So I call it the City Grown Studio, the outdoor studio. And I'm going to tell you a story about these plants. Now, I gotta say this up front. If this is the first time you're discovering my channel, on this particular project, I call this the movie, and this has a whole bunch of scenes, right? We're on scene 21. So if you haven't seen the first one, I encourage you to go back because you'll get the whole story and you're gonna find some lessons along the way. You'll probably binge if you're interested in the subject matter of cannabis and how to grow it yourself. Like Jeff taught me, I'm just paying it forward. And to date, I've probably taught over 600 people how to grow, and I've helped growers that are growing that are just either new or a few years in, or they're just looking to chop it up and share some knowledge, right? Because stories, that's how we've shared knowledge for thousands of years, is to tell stories around a campfire, right? Smoking some weed, hopefully. Anyways, there's a story behind these. These ladies found me, right? See, cannabis has a way of finding you. And these, well, they found me. The first set of plants in this row here found me first. And I'm new to this property. This property, I've only been here for about 2 months. I moved here and I had no intentions of doing an outdoor grow. And I've been growing a long time, and I really focused on the indoor, because indoor you can control everything. Outdoor, oh no, baby. Mama Nature say, hey, yeah, let me throw something at you, see how you do. So it's very challenging in the outdoor, although we get free energy, right? You get the sun, that's the attraction, you get the free sun, but there's still some expenses, there's still some investments you need to make. Your time is #1 investment on these ladies. But the story is, these are not my plants. I express that up front. They're not my plants. I didn't choose the genetics. I'm helping a friend. It started out with these 4. A friend that was frustrated and angry and upset because his wife discovered that he was growing some weed out behind the barn in a state that doesn't allow it in the outdoors. It allows it indoors, but not outdoors. And she was concerned there was going to be, issues. They're out in the freaking woods in a private area, but if mama's not happy, nobody's happy. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? So he was frustrated and angry, and I said, listen, Richie, he's rich, not wealthy, just rich. He goes, listen, I'll help you out, all right? I'll take 4 of your plants, I'll grow them out, pick the 4 that you really wanted to work with, that you wanted, because he likes extracts. He likes to press it, he likes the rosins, he likes the bubble hash, that sort of stuff, but he loves to smoke the weed too. He likes the flower. I said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll help you out. I'll get those plants to my place, and I'll grow them for you. I'll take care of them, and I'll tell you what, we'll split the yield. You take half, I'll take half. He was like, really, you do that for me? I said, yeah, you're a buddy, man, I'll help you out. So it started with just 4. And then another few more found me. And then another few more found me. And it was like, they're all at different stages, because I get these comments, it's, wow, mine are bigger than yours, because I, rah, 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 rah. Good for you. Let me check your channel out. I don't see your stuff, man. They're not my plants. I didn't start them. And the other comment is, why aren't they out in the ground? Yeah, super soils, living soils. I got you, bro. I've been at this a long time. This, and for me going live with you guys and also doing the channel, is to say, you know what? I'm going to get the audience and share what I know. I don't have all the answers. I'm not the best grower in the world. I grow good pot, though. And I want to share with you what I've discovered over many years of how to grow some good pot. There's some really good growers that are watching the channel that are better than me. Like I say, I don't claim to be the best. I just have some experiences. I got a lot of bruises. I had to do it the hard way. I stayed in the proverbial hidden closet. I couldn't talk to anybody. You go to the grocery stores and you're like, you don't want to talk because you don't want to sound stupid in the beginning because you don't know what you're talking about. And I didn't go to many grocery stores because the grocery stores during Green Merchant, if you don't know about that, just Google Green Merchant. The government was trying to shut down these cannabis shops that was selling, growing supplies. And they would get in their customer list and stuff like that. I wouldn't put my name in anything, but I would go in cash, in and out and gone, and not to return because they were always being watched, right? That was the fear back then. So when we hid in the closet and we were underground and we were prohibition, it was scary times, man. I've got to tell you, I was growing skunk weed. Holy moly, this is how guys got caught. And this is called pre-carbon. We call that pre-carbon. That means you didn't have charcoal filters. You didn't have something scrubbing the air and get rid of the smell. We tried to use these little ionizers that would just electrify the mylar that was hanging on the walls. If you worked with mylar, it's just a reflective like paper, and it was metallized. And it would just get electrified, and I'd get shocks from it. And it didn't get rid of the smell. So I'd drive home from work, and when I was during flower season, the whole neighborhood smelled like there was a gang of skunks that got run over in front of my house. And boy, was I sweating it out, man, because that smell is what got a lot of guys in trouble. That's how they got caught. And that's why they bred out the acrid, it's an acrid thiol, actually. They bred it out so that they could grow cannabis that wasn't so loud, right? Today, we're all looking for loud. We're looking for resins, because that's what we're growing. So we're going to jump in here. We're going to take a closer look. Today, I'm going to show you how I'm setting up an automatic watering system, which is open flow, not with restrictors or flow rate restrictors. Basically, if you're doing a drip system, a lot of you growers are using coco coir and using drip emitters that restrict the flow rate to about 1/2 gallon per hour. They have different flow rate ones, but the common one is 1/2 gallon per hour. But you can't run organics through them. You have to run salts through them. Now you can add hypochlorous acid, which is it's a free chlorine, and it's a descaler. It breaks down the minerals. It also keeps the root zone clean, and helps the plant to absorb minerals, keeps the cuticles open. But we're not doing that. We're growing organically here. Now, you could probably classify as synganic. There's probably a couple little components that are, on the synganic side there. I'm not all about that. It's going to be good, clean medicine for people that are sick. I don't consume as much as I did back when I was a young guy because I was blazing all the time and I needed my supply. That's why I started. It's all about the why, my friend. Why are you growing what you're growing? My why in the early days is so I could have my own supply and I have to go to anybody else. And man, when I saw those first flowers coming out, they looked as big as my arm. They looked like they were rolled in a sugar bowl. I had never seen that before. I didn't know what resins truly looked like because the stuff we got was grown outdoors, dried outdoors, and then pressed and then in a brick and brought to you. Or in a pack, and you didn't see the resins. Like when you're growing it, when we get in there and look at some of that stuff, oh wow, I was like blown away, and I'm like, oh my God. And when I started to share it with some friends, I had a guy, another guy goes to Hawaii for the Maui Wowie. Do you remember the early days of naming? See, I came from, the naming in the beginning was just, what country did it come from? Colombia, Mexico, Panama, Asia, all these different countries, right? Panama red, Colombian gold, Santa Marta gold, Acapulco gold. Some of my faves, my bros. I grew up on that stuff. I love that stuff. That's why when I started to try to recreate what Skunkman Sam, David Watson, had created once upon a time, and he worked that line, and then he gave some of that to, I might not have the story absolutely correct. I know Todd McCormick would have that for sure. But basically he gave it to Neville Schoenmaker, and he brought it to Holland, and he started to the seed bank and all that sort of stuff. But anyways, back to the main story. Cannabis has a way of finding you. It found me. I'm passionate about it, and I want to share with you what I've discovered. So I'm going to grab the camera. We're going to go inside and take a look, and we're going to take a closer look at what we got going on here, guys. All right, so I apologize for the little clicking. I'm just changing my selfie stick so it makes it easier for me to control. All right, and I wasn't able to see what you guys were saying, so let me just look at some of your comments. I'll get you guys out. All right, guys. Let's get into it. So, first off, you can see the ladies. All right, this was the last group that came. This was the second group, and this was the first group. So let's take a look. Let me describe what I'm doing. First off, I had to work with what was given to me, which was a plant from a first-year grower. Richie was a first-year grower. He's doing fantastic on the indoor. We coach him, and there's a few of us that are coaching him. By the way, we're going to have a podcast coming out soon, the Grow Room Boys. It's me and two other guys that are experienced. We're very experienced growers. I'm going to fix my selfie stick again. Hang tight, guys. There we go. That seems so. I want to stabilize it so you have less shakiness. Anyways, we're going to be doing the podcast to share knowledge and help you guys do a little bit better in your grows. So stay tuned for that. I'll announce it for sure. Now, cloth bags, 30-gallon. I like them. They breathe. They let oxygen into the root zone. I've always been a fan. Now, I didn't want to spend a fortune on this because remember, I did not plan on doing an outdoor grow. So normally I would have these on risers. I'd lift them up with risers so that there'd be an air gap below, but I didn't because that's just another expense and I didn't want to do that. Germany is in the house, brother. Sie sprechen Sie Deutsch, jawohl? Yes. Glad to have you. I don't speak a lot of German. I love the languages. I love to learn languages. I'm teaching myself Spanish right now. Sí, buenos días, señor. So I like that stuff. Anyways, back to the plants. Joe, the plant. All right, sorry, I have squirrel effect every now and then. All right, this one here, I don't remember the name. Oh, this one does have a tag on it. This one is LCG, Lemon Cherry Gelato #1. All right, so setting up the automatic watering system. I'll come back to that in a second. Cloth bag. Oh, you can see the structure of what he did. Now, let me give you a quick lesson here, guys. You can see how I have these taped off. Those are points where you'll have, when the plant gets bigger, these are break points, by the way. They're like, I call it the wishbone effect. You got to be careful of that. So you got to tie them off. Otherwise, you'll come out one morning, have this nice big branch that'll snap on you, and you lose that bud, and it could be a lot too. And I've had that happen to me many times because I wasn't paying attention, but now I know. But a lot of it is, I have it staked out. Now you can see the staking I did out at an angle so I could pull it open, because the other problem you have is it gets too dense in there and not enough airflow. And also you don't get light down to that inner canopy. Now I will be doing videos for you that I'll post up. I think this is Well, actually, this isn't number 21. This is actually alive. So I'm going to do another video that I'll post. I'll probably do it later today or tomorrow. Actually, it won't be tomorrow. In the next couple days, I'll put a video together for you guys on how to thin it and how to, what we call skirt, lollipop, and also to systematically thin it out so you don't have potential issues. See, what we're doing now is we're looking ahead and saying, okay, what kind of problems am I going to run into? So you can see the flowers are starting to form nicely. This one, I would estimate this plant's probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I'd say around 3 weeks, just beginning the third week of flower. Some of them are just beginning, I'd say first week of flower. So typically, where I am, I'm in New England, our flower season for plants usually typically begin around second week of August. It's what I've seen over many years. But this year seems to be a little earlier. And again, it's also based on your genetics. So you can see these ladies looking nice. These are all going to be nice little flowers. Now, here's my concern, guys. When the flower itself starts to really thicken up, the moisture that's going to get trapped in there is a problem. Because I didn't choose the genetic, that's the other thing. Based on your regional area, you want to look at genetics that have been developed for those areas. Typically, like in my area, guys up in Vermont and Maine, they're working in these high, in Massachusetts too, Rhode Island, all those guys are developing. Anybody that's developing, doing, you know, some breeding or pollen chucking and stuff like that, and they created genetics that are resistant. Now, what is resistant? Typically, the nomenclatures is sativas and indicas. Those are names that we came up with as growers and us happy smokers, right? But technically, scientifically, it's wide leaf drug cultivar and thin leaf drug cultivars. And then there's hybrids. So most everything's been hybridized because of all the crossings and stuff like that. But your sativas have a tendency to be more resistant because they grow stretchy. The problem growing it outdoors is, can you finish it? And I've developed some. I did going back about, it must have been 6, 7 years ago, I crossed Acapulco Gold with Northern Lights. So I figured, hey, if I mix those two, because the Acapulco Gold wasn't really producing a lot of big buds, and when I put Northern Lights onto it, holy moly, they were big, giant, thick buds, but I couldn't finish the plant. I was in November and it still wasn't even done. It was probably needed another 4 weeks from there, and I would never made it. The frost would have killed them. So I had to harvest it and turn it into other things like goodies, like edibles or extracts and stuff like that. Now here's what's going to happen. They're going to thicken up, they're going to bulk out, and because I have warm days, cold nights, we have dew that sits on the plant and sits in that flower, and that creates a problem. It sits there too long. So we have to use products to hopefully fight that, but you have to pay close attention to your plants. And I can go back in a moment in time when I first started growing outdoors. It was probably 7 or 8 years ago. My first round, I came out one day and they're looking great, and I loved the free sun. I didn't have to pay for the electricity. It was awesome. All of a sudden, I look in and I go, oh crap, what the hell is that? It was fuzzy mold all over my flower, and it was going fast. I'm like, that wasn't there yesterday. It was like overnight. Holy shit. So I just made the logical decision and I took it down. Now I had a grow buddy at that time. So I reached out to my buddy Scott and I said, hey Scott, because he had the same genetics as we had an indoor grow for a few years, and then we said, hey, let's go our separate ways. Everything's cool. You go do your thing, I'll go do mine. And we were taking some of our genetics outdoors. And I said, I found mold in my plants today. I took them down. He goes, wow. I said, you ought to consider taking your plants down, Scott. And he goes, nah, I'm fine. I'm like, well, I don't know. It came on pretty fast, like overnight. And I saw him like 2 weeks later. And I say, Scott, how are your plants doing? Because I'd already taken all mine down. I turned them into edibles and other things because they weren't finished. And he goes, I don't even want to talk about it, man. I'm like, what do you mean you don't want to talk about it? He says, I don't want to talk about it. I said, what happened? You got to tell me. He says, I came out, every plant was covered from head to toe with mold. And I didn't want to say it. But I said it. Well, I told you so. He didn't listen. All right, so let's take a look at the genetics. The genetics are different. This is dense. This has to be cleared out. I'm going to get in here, and again, I'll do the video for you guys to show you how you got to get in here. Like a little branch like this, as much as as a grower hates to cut that little sucker off, that is not going to turn to a pound of weed. That's not going to be anything but a pain in the neck. So that's got to go. This has got to go. This one will stay just for the purpose because it's on the outside and it's going to form a little flower, and I'll leave it there for you guys, right? But you got to get in here and get rid of the branching that does not serve you, like in here, okay? So look for that video. I'll show you how to do it. I'll show you how I do it. I know some of you already know how to do it. Keep in mind, this is just us as a community sharing information and ideas and techniques, and there's always someone that's going to have a thing. So, Big Buddha 9743 is making a statement. So you think it's okay, only support the plant with only a string around the plant from the bottom to the top, like a string? No, sorry for the English. No, it's okay. I understand. All right, so let me just say, I'm not done supporting these. These are done just as a precaution from storms or heavy rains, because heavy rains will make this branch here heavy, and it'll start to sag, right? So if I don't have them staked off or tied off to the stake, that's one thing. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be looking for some trellis netting to wrap it like an ice cream cone, so I don't have any fall over, right? So I can keep it together. But first, before I do that, I've got to get inside here and I've got to thin it out. So I got to thin it, I got to make sure there's airflow. I'm not going to waste my time on lower stuff. That lower stuff is larvae. I don't want to have to trim it. I'm going to focus on the production areas, all right? So once I'm done with that, these stakes will get wrapped with a trellis netting, all right? A plastic trellis net. I just have to wait for the right size. Again, it's another thing you got to invest in, but that's a great question, by the way. I can't wait to see the black ice. You want to see the black ice? All right, brother, let's take a walk over here. Squirrel! This one here is the black ice. This was, let's see here, black ice. So this is a Mac 1 capsule. Oh, it smells good. I wish you were here. You can already smell the terps coming off of this bad Larry. Let me get you in here, bro. This is the black. See, it's already laying on resins. And it's gonna start putting resins right on the stems too. Well, here's a better view over here. It's starting to rain out here right now. But look at that resin. So Mac 1, I was blessed with a Mac 1 caps cut from another very experienced grower. And he said, here's the deal. You can't sell it, you can't circulate it, it can only be gifted. And I honored that, I honored the agreement, and I kept it. I worked it for at least 2 years, and I was not wowed by it. I was not, and it's the only reason it wasn't the plant, it turns out it was me. Yeah, I didn't understand it. It was very finicky. It is a finicky plant, and there was things I was doing with, you know, other plants that particular plant did not like. So Mac 1 caps cut does not like to be topped before 16 inches. Oh yeah, you got to go over 16 to 18, then you can do a topping. Otherwise it stalls. She gets pissed at you. Now this is a classic trait of the Mac with the long elongated stems on the leaves, which is great for trimming, by the way. It's an easy one, but it's not a big yielding plant. That's the other problem. In the indoor, with electricity costs and energy costs, is like your footprint that you're growing in has to produce a certain quality and a certain yield to make sense. I mean, if it's just head statch, fine, great, no problem. But somebody's got to help out with that electricity, just saying. Now, here's a read for you. So I was looking at this earlier. Hopefully this video can give you a decent, let me try to back up to get it. All right, see on the serrated edge, they're starting to turn a little brown, like rust spots. That's an early indicator of calcium. All right, so it's the plant saying, hey, I need some magnesium, calcium. I already gave the magnesium yesterday, but it needs calcium. All right, so calcium, because it's building fast, and this thing is accelerated. I like the fact that it's a short cycle, but however, is it going to be a yielder? Right, so I can go back to my buddy Ed Groen and say, hey, is it any good? Is it worth it? He said, you know, it didn't really have the nose. It had the look, it had the frost, it had those factors. So it may be a candidate for my winter project. I'm going to be doing some breeding in the winter time. I call it pullet chucking, okay? And I'm going to show you my seed collection. I have thousands and thousands of seeds that I've made, because I'm also going to let you guys know this. I've only purchased 2 packs of seeds in my lifetime ever. The first was in around 2013. I was at an event in Boston at the Boston Common. It's called the Freedom Rally. And a friend of mine goes, hey, I'm going to introduce this friend of mine. He's selling seeds and he could really use some extra money. I've never bought seeds before that. I made my own. I had to figure it out because I was hiding in the closet. You know that closet, proverbial closet I told you about earlier? Well, I didn't want to order from the seed banks. I didn't want to go to High Times and have it sent to my house and have any issues. You know what I'm saying? So I started making seeds. So my first pack of seeds was in 2013. It was 10 seeds. I asked the guy, regs? And he goes, yeah, the regular seeds. my fucking ass was puckering up, and I'm like, you're kidding me, $100, 10 seeds? I'm like, that was, oh man, I'm helping a dude. All right, just Joe, you're helping a guy out that needs help. All right, think about that. So the reason I wanted regular seeds is because I knew I was going to take and germinate half the pack, which I did. I still have half the pack from that time. I made about 10,000 seeds, and I gifted them out to hundreds of growers and people that just wanted to learn. It was an easy plant. It was from Colorado. It was Frozen Margie by, shit, I forget the other cross. But anyways, I made a whole bunch of seeds, and I gave it to people. All right, so things are looking good. We have all different types of genetics in here. Some nice happy plants. This one's forming nicely. I like the structure of this one. That's the other thing. When you read the plant, like when I go read those ones over there, I see some problems coming, and I'm going to try to get ahead of it. This one's nice. None of these have been lollipopped, or what we call in the trades skirting. Get rid of that lower growth, because this little branch down here is not going to do anything for me. I'm going to focus on this section here, so I'm going to get rid of a lot of these lower stuff, right? A lot of these little branches in here, these will not become buds. I'm going to get rid of that. This branch should actually go. So I'm going to focus on where the premium stuff is, the stuff that can serve me. But let's get into it, guys, and talk about the watering system I'm building. So this is going to be an open flow. Sorry, guys, I had a poor connection. That's the other thing I got to put out here is a booster. I do have a booster in the house I'll bring in for the next time I do a live, so we don't get a disconnection. Anyways, open flow just means there's no flow rate restrictor, or like if you're doing cocoa growing and you're using salts, you use a flow rate restrictor of like half a gallon per hour. I can't do that in here because I'm going to feed organics and waters. And I've set these up. This is basically a T that has 2 taps coming off of it. I have 4 watering spikes in here. You can see these are just open flow watering spikes. And you can see that they have a little channel right there in that center there. So it helps the water get down into that space. And I'll set up the timer. I'll show you that timer in a minute. So I have 4 spikes in each one of these. And basically it's just a square. I was working on this morning at about 6 a.m. This is part of the passion, my friend. You got to put the time in. Energy in equals energy out. You guys know that, right? You don't put effort in, you get nothing out. And this lady, well, she needs some attention. If she doesn't get attention, she ain't giving you nothing. And she's going to give you problems. Oh, the smell in here is awesome. The terps are starting to come out. The esters, actually, plant alcohols. And it's starting to form the resins. And that's why we're getting the translocation, by the way. The translocation is the plant is moving the mobile elements that it needs because it's still building. And if there's not enough down below, it's going to start systematically grabbing it from the older leaves down below. So that's okay. That's normal. It just, I don't want it to go too fast, so I had to give it a little touch of nitrogen like a week ago. I just wanted to slow that down just a little bit. This one is looking fantastic. I'm pretty excited about this one. Margie to the Chocolope. That's right. It was. You got that right. That's Grow by Heinz. Thanks, man. I appreciate you backing me up on that. Let me just see here. All right, so I want to point out some things that I did to manipulate this plant. So the grower himself had started off, and he went a little aggressive, but it's okay. It's all part of the learning curve. And these are things that I would say, yeah, you just probably not go so aggressive in the beginning. Like you can see that branch in there is going to have to go. That's way under the canopy. So I'll get rid of a lot of the suckers, the sucker branches, and this will get thinned out. It'll be painful because you hate to do that, but once you get used to it, it's not so bad. You're a grower like, wait a minute, that's a bud. I could smoke that. No, not after it dries. You lose 70, 80% of that and it's gone. All right, so I'm going to point out a couple things. This particular flower here, the structure was not manipulated. So this will thicken up quite a bit in here. And so I didn't do any pinching. It looks beautiful. It's got a nice look to it. And same with this one. No touch to it. That looks nice. But what I did do is that one there, that one there, that one there, and another one over there, I manipulated it and it was real easy. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to get you guys in here. All right, so first off, I want to show you the structures, how the lateral growth started coming out. And then the top split into 3 tops. I did a little topping. Let me just get you guys in there. All right there. Hopefully it focused. That little nub right there. That little nub right there is where I pinched it. All right, so I took that top off. Well, you can top it or pinching, it's the same thing pretty much. I took that top off, and what it does is it stalls the upward growth for the plant, because the plant has to send auxins back up and to help regrow that. All right, so it's going to send hormones to fix it. While it's doing that, the lateral growth has a chance to start taking off like this. This starts coming out, and so because of that one little manipulation, that increases my yield. See, I can get this. This is a nice bud. Nothing wrong with that. But if I can get a whole bunch of buds, I'm all about it, bro. Check that out. So that structure came out. Same with this one here, no pinching, and it's just gonna be one structure. There'll be a bunch of small buds, because down below, when they get down lower in here, that'll be fine. But if I could get them to pump out like that, and then I get more buds. You see what I'm saying? Same with this one. Let me see if I can find the pinch point. There it is, right in here. Right there where my finger's tapping. That is a little nub. And again, that pushed out this nice, beautiful structure right there. Now, like this, I really you can see I went in with the stakes at a nice angle and I pulled them open. This thing right now, that's the top of my finger is 8 feet right up here. Right, so this is about 7, I would say 7 feet anyway. So it's taken off nice. These stakes here, these bamboos are 6 feet right here. So that's up there. So you can see we got some good growth there. We got a lot of aeration. The other thing you look at is, see the leaves? They're thin. This would lean, I would call this a sativa leaner. Sativa leaner meaning it leans to the sativa side, or in-leaf drug cultivar technically. And it stretches out nice. It's got a nice Christmas tree structure there, but not thick and dense. Let's look at the one next to it. This one is nice structure, but very dense and thick inside here. You can see how thick it's getting in here. So I got to get in here and thin it out and clean it up. This one here, very dense inside. This, you know, I can already see problems coming in with it, just so much thickness in here. This is asking for troubles, all right? So again, once you know that and you've been through it and you lose some weed, because all the growers that grow outdoors say, oh, I lost all my weed, or I lost half my crop to molds, botrytis, all that stuff. So again, stretching it out, you can see this one, I did all the push downs, LSTs. The next thing is we're gonna have to brace for, you know, the storms that will be coming, the rains. These buds are gonna thicken up, they're gonna get heavy, so I've gotta fashion a structure around these to hold it together like an ice cream cone so we don't lose snapping and stuff like that. But a lot of these are tied off to these stakes. I'm going to show you another LST technique. All right, so I put this pole in here to show that, hey, to save money, buy the bamboos if they're available, and then buy the 6-footers. They're less expensive than the 8s, and they're more versatile to use 6s than 8s. I don't have a problem with 8s. If I did an 8, I'd do it in the center, and then I would tie off with strings to hold the branches from breaking. But you can just basically tie 2 together like I did here. And now you get a nice extended pole. I was gonna let that other bud, I'm gonna show you right there, continue going up. I was gonna use it you know what, I think to teach my buddies how to get some more yield, I basically did an LST. I just took that branch, sorry, I keep putting my hand in front of it and it refocuses. I pulled this branch down right here, and as you can see, the end is curling up, but all these little buds that would be like this one down in here are all coming up as tops right in here. That's another manipulation that gives you a much better chance of getting better yields. All right, decent trimmer costs like $1,800. What's your time worth? Oh yeah. Yeah, trimming is quite costly. There'll be a question ahead I didn't see. Well, you guys, trim gel gonna suck. Not with this one. So what we're gonna do with this, again, stick with me for the movie, because I'm gonna get you there. I have access to trimmers. There's multiple different types. There's Tom's Tumbler, there's the Green Bros, there's also the Twisters, so there's the tube tumblers. Is wet trimming a way to go? Is dry trimming better? It all depends on your strategy. And also depends on what are you going to use the material for. Is it for extract? It's a whole different game. Is it for flour that you need to present to some friends because you're in the hustle? Then it's different, right? So there's a different approach for each one of those. But yeah, trimming, I've done a lot and lots and lots of trimming. And you can call it trimming hell, and your brain will say, I hate to do it, or you can say it's trimming heaven because it turns into money. Just saying, because you might share it with somebody, and somebody might give you some love. Not encouraging you to do that, but you never know. Donations are always welcome. All right, so let's take a look at a few products. So that was me talking about showing you the plants, some strategies, the watering system. These are some more components. I ran out of tubing, so I've got to go try and get some more tubing so I can get finished up. This was set up as an example of different ways to, tap in. You can tap. I was thinking of tapping this way, but I decided not to. I went to the long way like this, so I could go like that. And this is just a 17 millimeter tubing by Floraflex. Floraflex is going out of business, so if you have an opportunity to buy stuff, get what you can, because they're not going to be around. Unfortunately, they didn't make it through the storm. This is a Floraflex punch tool for this particular size, and if you take the centerpiece out right there, you can do the bigger tubing. So if you have a larger tubing, this just punches that nice little hole, so your little pin just pops right in there. These are your watering spikes. These are your adapters to make your structures, your T-types, your taps to bring two together. This is your hose feed end in. And this is my timer. This is a battery operated timer, so this will turn it on and off. It'll tell it how long, when to turn on. Rain delay, I gotta get the sensor, so I gotta look online for the sensor. Because if it's raining out, I don't want this kicking on, because I don't want to over soak the roots and cause root rot or anything like that. I have a mixing tank here, so this is a 30-gallon tank. Right now it's just got water in it. I filled it up this morning and I made a booby-doo. Yeah, that's right, I broke it. Fuck. It happens, but it's okay, it still works, but I just can't use the hose end because there's the other end. So now I got to epoxy it together and fix it. So, problem, my reaction is I was pissed, because it was my fault. I dropped it on the ground and not realizing it's just plastic. But this filters out the water and makes it cleaner. You can see it gets out all the out of the water. These are affordable. These are like usually around 60 bucks or so, depending on your grocery store. With a yeast, spores that land. Reconnecting. Damn, I got to get my booster out here. I keep losing connection. I try to do this at a distance for you guys because I'm a little too far from the transmitter at the house, and my cellular service does not cover you guys out here. I'm just gonna fix my holder here. It's sliding out. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. Getting that baby up. There we go. That should hold you. All right. Oil base during the vegetation. Citrus base for the flower. You can use Dr. Zymes almost up to the day of harvest. There we go. I can just zoom in to get you guys closer. Monterey BT. BT stands for Bacillus thuringiensis. It's a bacteria, so that's for your caterpillars. I applied that yesterday morning because it was an overcast day. I know it would sit on the leaf surface. I like to do my sprays after the sun's gone down, and then it sits overnight, because that's when some of your bugs come out, like your brown beetles here in the Northeast. I haven't seen any lately, so I think they're past their cycle. So working with the because I got lots of. All right, sorry guys. Doesn't look like I'm going to be able to get in too close here, because as I get closer to that table, I'm having issues. I'm just going to say that I have a few different products here I like to use to enhance the growth of the plant. I'll do another video on that a little bit later, and if not, you go back and watch some of the videos that I've already posted. I think I've posted 20 videos on this project. You'll see these when I first got them. They were all sitting over that part of the yard at that time, and now they're sitting over here in a nice little group because I'm setting up a watering system so I can keep them controlled right there. All right, so I think I kept you guys 40 minutes. I appreciate you hanging out with me. Let me just take a quick look at some of the messages in here. So if I need to answer any, how many hours of darkness do these plants get? That's a great question. I don't know the exact, but when you start dropping below, I think it's about 13 hours. When you drop below 13, oh no, wait a minute, I got that backwards. When you start dropping below 12, well, actually I think it's about 13, I could be stand corrected, just Google it. But below 13 they begin to flower. So the darkness isn't as critical right now. It's It's really about moisture and bugs and stuff like that. But that's a good question though. So it's obvious that they're flowering, so it's in that zone that the plant starts to trigger. Oh, here's another thing. For some of you growers that might not know this. When the plant is vegetating, a portion of its life force energy, they estimate 20 to 30% of its energy gets leaked back down through the roots. Those are called exudates. The carbohydrates that the plant will specifically push through its root zone to attract the microorganisms, the bacteria, fungi, because it needs that relationship to help the plant absorb the minerals. So those microorganisms will break down that, and also their die-off becomes food for the plant. As above, so below. If the plant is healthy up top, the soil most likely is healthy too. What I do as a grower is I feed the soil. I feed the microbes. So the microbes are fed with sugars or carbohydrates like molasses and things like that. It's also, I add the building materials. I like to describe it. Some of you have heard me say this before. I'll repeat it again. That bag is the material that shows up on the job site. The building is an organic plant that comes from the bag and the materials that are there. When you run out of materials, the plant gets deficient and it starts stealing stored energy from itself. The life in the soil, the workers on a job site. So that's why it's important to manage your microorganisms. Make sure you're bringing fresh colonies in each week, whether you're using Recharge, which is a fantastic product by real growers. I love it. I've been using it since it hit the market. I see great results from it. So I bring workers to the job site along with supplies to the job site so that the building can be built. Now that the plant is transitioning to flower, as we can see here, it's obvious. You can see the pistils coming out. Right? Now that it's coming out in flower, what happened when that transition took place, we first went into a stretch period where everything started to accelerate in growth and the plant stopped leaking those exudates. Yeah. Oh yeah. So she said to the guys downstairs working, "Hey guys, I'd love to feed you, but I need all the energy I can because I want to regenerate and I want to grow some seeds." Well, nobody told her that she's not getting pollinated. She ain't getting no nookie, all right? Because there's no pollen present, hopefully, unless somebody in the neighborhood is growing and they don't know what they're doing. That can happen. Pollen can travel for miles and miles, my friend. But anyways, she's no longer feeding the soil. I am. Don't you worry, guys. I got your back. I'll take care of you. I'm going to bring you some supplies. I'm going to bring you some food. The roach coach is going to pull up. Here's the food source. I'm going to bring the carbohydrates for you. So that's where I step in and I continue to manage. Knowing that the exudates are no longer there, I jump in and make sure the food source is there for the workers on the job site. And I bring a whole truckload every week. So there's fresh workers. They're ready to go. Yeah, we bring them babies in. So they're happy. And then we also add some enzymes. If you're not using enzymes, it's important. I'll do a video because the video I don't have to worry about the wireless connection from the house until I get my booster out here for you guys for the lives. I'm going to try, my objective is to do lives on Sunday because I have a little more flexibility in my time. These are some plants that I did just in a half-gallon pot just to show that you can grow in small containers, but you also limit the growth of the plant because you're compressing the root ball. Let me just show you how these are looking. Let me pop this out because it just pops right out. Look at those nice, healthy roots. Jimmy Strain up in Canada. He's up in BC. Cool cat. Been growing a long time. He says, bigger the roots, bigger the fruits, my friends. So those are nice, happy, healthy roots. I started adding enzymes, carbohydrates, and feed the plant. The plant can absorb it. But if you have nice, healthy, fresh roots like that, that means you're doing a good job. You're managing the basement. I like to do when I'm done with my grows, not so much on the cloth bags because I'll reuse that soil for the next few years. I'll just re-amend it. I'll add enzymes at the end of the year. It'll break down all that root material and it'll be gone. I just chop off the main stem and let it do its thing, and I just take a little lump out at the end. All the roots have been broken down from the enzymes. But the bags, I rip those open because I don't reuse the bags, and I look at the root zone. The root zone will tell me, did I do a decent job or could I have done better? So that's how you inspect what you expect out of your plants. And it's really you because you're the manager on site. And a lot of it is getting the knowledge. And sometimes the knowledge comes the hard way. I had to learn the hard way. I couldn't go to anybody and say, hey, I'm growing this weed, I need your input. We had to use Merit tomatoes. I'm growing tomatoes. It's not going to happen, my friends. All right, guys, I got to get rolling. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Let me just see if I can pick up one or two more of these questions here. Kind Vine, appreciate you, brother. This is a great channel. Love how you explain how these plants found you. Amen, brother. I subbed here a couple of weeks ago and tune in every day. Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. That encourages me to continue to do what I do. By the way, I'm a business coach. All right, so I've owned, let's see, my first business was in the 80s. It was like 80, 89. And then I started another one after that in 91. I was in the automotive aftermarket business. I love cars. I like fast things. So I used to wire up cars, sound systems, build big monster systems, remote starters, window tinting, all that stuff, state inspections, auto repair. That was one of my early businesses. But after that point, I've owned about 14 different companies. So I understand business, but I'm passionate about the sacred plant cannabis. So I do consulting work as well. So I do business consulting. I've been consulting on a project in South America, in Colombia, up in the mountains, in the Andes Mountains in Medellin, Colombia. That's a fantastic. And yeah, some of my genetics are just doing crazy things down there. When you're in a high UV environment with high pressure, so we're up in over 7,000 feet above sea level. That's amazing. But the point is I'm extremely busy. And when I see positive comments and people encouraged by this, it inspires me to do more and effort and help you guys learn what I've learned, because when I leave this realm, I call it a realm, when I leave this realm, what did I leave behind? Did I help my brothers and sisters? I hope I did, because that's my passion in life. You know, it's not always about the money. It's not about things and stuff. It's about, did you help somebody that was sick and ill? Because you have access. I have access. I turn this into medicines for people that are ill and sick. I've helped work with people that have cancers using the resins, the fecal oil, full extract cannabis oils, the CBD, cannabidiol is an anti-inflammatory. So this plant has on its resins anywhere between 84 and 104 cannabinoids. Now, I know some of you know about more than others, but we all heard about THC, tetrahydrocannabinol. When you heat it up, it releases the acid molecule, the A. THCA is natural. When you heat it, it becomes THC, it gets you high. It binds with your cannabinoid receptors in your body, the ECS, endocannabinoid system. Every cell in your body has a receptor site. Your brain receives the CB1s, and the rest of the body has CB2 receptors. So we respond to this cannabis plant. CBD is a cannabidiol. It's an anti-inflammatory, helps with joint pain, and it's also a neural protectant, helps your brain, helps protect your brain. That's important to understand that. And then you have the terpenes, which are modulators. I think Marcus Richardson, Bubbleman's World, I've been watching him for years. And he said, yeah, well, you know, the cannabinoids, he described it this way. Think of a yellow bus, school bus, has a bunch of seats. Those are the cannabinoids. The steering wheel up front is the terpenes. They steer the direction of the cannabinoids. Whoa, that was deep. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. So what I'm saying is, I'm a busy guy. And to take the time to do this, I have to be encouraged. And I appreciate all your support. I appreciate everything you guys say, and the positive comments. And every now and then you get a tithead in there who's like a keyboard warrior. Why are you doing that? You're doing it wrong. Like, good for you, bro. I checked out your channel. You got 0 followers and you got 0 videos. So what can you share but just some fucking comments because you found something on ChatGPT or something like that. Anyways, I also do coding too. So vibe coding, baby. I have a whole bunch of programs that I've built. So because when you're in business, you have to build systems. Systems make money, not people. And so, yeah, I'm into that stuff. So anyways, I'm not trying to be braggadocious. I'm just trying to share a little bit of my personal life with you guys. So for me to take time to grow weed is something I have to set aside time and to do the videos. So I did another video earlier on my Instagram. So if you're not following me on Instagram, I know a bunch of you are, hop on over there. It's on the IG. It's City Grown. It's all one word there. And then look for the post that we'll be putting out real soon for our podcast. There's 3 of us, growers. Ed Groen's going to be there. My buddy Matt's going to be there. These are all business guys, very intelligent. They know more than I do, right? That's the way I look at it. And we all teach each other and help each other. And we want to help you in the grower community to do better and get a leg up. And all we ask is that you just pay it forward. And that paying forward is just either teach somebody, or if not, if you have a little extra herbs. I mean, when you give a bud to a stranger that's not expecting it, when you see their expression, man, I get a charge out of that. I've been doing that for years. So I know some of you following and watching may have been blessed or been close. And if you're in my area and I said, here, check this out, have some. They go, for me? Yeah, for you. You deserve it. You work hard. Anyways, guys, I kept you long enough. I appreciate you all. And if I haven't responded to your comment, it's probably because I'm watching my subject matter here and I'm freestyling. Yeah, you got to come up with the script in your brain and then you got to spit it out. It's not easy. If you ever try to do it, it's not easy, but it just takes practice. Like anything else in life, the more you do it, you get some bumps and bruises. You learn from your mistakes. When you keep repeating the same mistake, that means you ain't learning. You need to go back to school. Anyways, guys, I appreciate you all. Love you all. And as always, may some of those resins bless your bowl today. Live in peace, happiness, and again, don't forget, sharing is caring. See you. All right, now I got to figure out how to end the show because this is only my second one, guys. All right, here it is. Here's the